Hello and welcome to another session of Groundbreakers Live. I'm your host Javed Mohammed, and I'm very honored to have with us Balasubramanian. I hope I got that almost right. I'm sorry. Uh,
Almost.
Hello, Uma.
Hi. Hi, I'm
Uh,
Balasubramanian.
okay, thank you for the correction. And Uma is going to be presenting at the Oracle DevLive Cloud Native Apps um, uh, event going on, and she actually has a session called "Infrastructure as Code: Building Your Own Virtual Data Center in Only 24 Hours." I added in the only, but either way, that's how do you go? But so tell us a little bit about your presentation and how did you come up with this idea?
So the presentation, so every company will need their own infrastructure for hosting their servers and then serving the customers. For example, even if you're like a Starbucks, you will need your servers to you will need your company to have a website where people can go online and order.
Mm-hmm.
So in order to host that website, you need an infrastructure, and that infrastructure will be provided or like hosted by Oracle Cloud. And what we are offering today or telling you that is you'll be able to host your infrastructure, build and host your infrastructure service in less than 24 hours. And
Okay.
our product is Resource Manager that enables this.
Okay. So share with us the secret sauce. So what is the resource manager, and how can you take a whole infrastructure and build it up in 24 hours?
Yeah, so the main reason that you'll be able to build your infrastructure in 24 hours is by codifying the infrastructure.
Mm-hmm.
If you are, let's say for your infrastructure, you need like a couple of hosts and a load balancer and maybe a database in the backend. And if you are to build this infrastructure from scratch by going to your cloud provider and then creating one instance and then checking out another load balancer and then checking out two hosts and combining all them together and linking all them together, that is like a time consuming process.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of that, if you codify your infrastructure, like you write a script and that script tells you what you want to build,
Mm-hmm.
it just defines it. So that's called codifying. And
Okay.
the codifying is done via Terraform. So
Okay.
Terraform provides an declarative way of codifying your infrastructure, and with that, the resource manager takes in these Terraform scripts and provisions your infrastructure.
Okay. So is this kind of more along the lines of using continuous integration, continuous development kind of a pipeline?
Yes, definitely. So if you can see the previous way that I described, you're checking out an instance, you're checking out a load balancer, checking out a database, that is like so manual. And if you want to replicate that, or like even if you want to see who made what changes, later on, if you want to add a host, it's like a new change. So
Mm-hmm.
it creates a new version of your infrastructure. So you will not be able to version with uh, point and click, which is the old way, and by codifying, you know that this is the version of the code that executed at this point of time, and another engineer comes in and makes maybe additional host, that becomes the new version. So you will be able to also version the infrastructure and also enable the continuous integration and continuous delivery pipeline.
So you use something like GitHub or whatever to
Yes.
host your repository and
Yes, currently Resource Manager supports GitLab.
uh-huh.
With GitLab, you'll be able to you'll be able to have your host your scripts in the Git repo in
Mhm.
GitLab, and you can version your infrastructure. You can send code reviews to your team and manage the infrastructure, and that is directly connected to Resource Manager. In
Okay.
Resource Manager, if you provide your GitLab URL and the access token and the Git branch that you have, the resource manager can directly pull the Terraform scripts from GitLab, and it's directly integrated.
Okay. So I'm just kind of curious, like, so if you have an existing infrastructure, so when you were talking about, deciding whether you want a load balancer and the database, if you've got some idea, I guess that makes all sense if you've got an existing infrastructure. What if I'm a new startup and, I'm going to be building this cool new app and everything? How do I figure out what resources I will require?
Yes. For that, we provide something called sample solutions.
Mm-hmm.
So in a resource manager, you'll see it in the demo that I'll show in the talk.
Uh-huh.
So sample solutions are pre-built set of infrastructure configurations,
Mm-hmm.
and they say for say you want to build a sample e-commerce application.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, that set of all the things that are required in order to host your e-commerce application is already scripted and ready for you. All you
Oh,
have to
wow.
do,
Okay.
yeah, all you have to do is like select it and then like deploy, and
Okay.
the resource will be provisioned for you.
So it's like basically like a blueprint, and you just go
Yes.
ahead and you
Yeah.
can
Yeah.
deploy that.
Exactly. Yeah.
Ah, okay, okay, okay. Well, it sounds like a really exciting tool, if that's the right word for about the resource manager and process, and really cool presentation. So really encourage the folks actually out there to check it out. Uma,
Yeah.
thank you so.
Definitely. I'm looking forward to it as
Yes,
well.
absolutely. Great. Uma, thank you so much for sharing and giving us your time.
Thank you. Thank you, Javed. Thank you for your time.
Okay.